am scared. I am scared. I live my life every single day fearing the knock on my door, checking behind my shoulder if someone is following me. I fear for my family. I fear for what they will do if I'm not there to provide for them. I am scared. But what option do we have if we don't speak, if we don't allow the nation to be heard? What other job can I do if I'm not a journalist? The only option that I have is to open this platform for all, including government, including those who want to support the 2030 agenda, including those who believe that the president is doing the best that he can. This platform is open for everyone to be heard. I don't own this platform. I hold it in public trust. It is not ours. If it was ours, we would not broadcast to the public. This will always be the situation right now. I will always be, dare be scared or not. This platform will be open, alive or not. Someone else will sit in this chair and will ask the tough questions, because that's the option we have.
Blessed Mhlanga has been charged and detained overnight on allegations of contravening Section 164 of the Criminal Law Codification and Reform Act, which is defined as transmitting a data message with the intention of inciting violence. The police allege that Mhlanga transmitted or conveyed two messages in January and in February 2025 for the specific purpose of inciting public violence, an allegation that he obviously denies. What is frustrating is the fact that this journalist handed himself in. He reported to the police station voluntarily, having learned that police wanted to interview him. And after the recording of statements, we had hoped that they would release him, and he goes back to the police station and to court to answer to the charges that he's facing. But police were adamant that he must spend the night in the cells. They are indicating that he will appear in court on the morning of Tuesday, the 25th of February 2025.
All right. So, is there any possibility that he can at least get bail before being charged, or what are you currently expecting? Maybe the best current best of events.
Yeah, it is our hope that bail will not be opposed by the state and that bail will be granted by the court. We are not sure yet as to the attitude of the state to the issue of bail. The fact that they have decided to detain him as opposed to releasing him overnight and inviting him to come back to court on the following day is suggestive of a negative attitude to Mhlanga being granted bail. But we do not know for certain at this point in time what their attitude will be once we attend at court. But we are hopeful that bail may be granted.
I've always said this. People need leadership. They need to be led. There is no revolution that has happened anywhere in the world without leadership. People will tell you about the Arab Revolution and the romantic view that it was not led by people. No, it had leaders. The leaders might be in the background. And the opposition leaders that we have, when they were young in the youth league of the MDC, Anamog and Changrai, they know what they used to do. You might not have seen Chamisa at the front, you might not have seen Morgan Changrai at the front, but they were organizing something. People believe in a certain set of leadership or leaders. If you look at the leader that is there today, who commands that support by virtue of inheriting from Morgan Changrai, it's Chamisa. If Chamisa decides to be bold enough and say, we need to go onto the streets, the people will go onto the streets. But if a random guy says, let's go onto the streets, the people will not go onto the streets because, as I've said, they need leadership. And the second thing is that you will see with the arrest of Blessed, uh, we might not have a coherent and cohesive approach from the media and the practitioners in the media, journalists, because that unity is not there. I think something happened to Zimbabweans. Something died inside us, such that we feel beaten down and we are not able to do certain things. And I'll give you an example. When I was arrested, my own relatives were saying, "Why are you doing this? You've got money, you've got houses, you live a good life. Why are you doing this? Why are you going to sleep in Chikurubi? Being beaten by lice when you've got such a good life, you can go anywhere in the world and you can make it." And I used to say to them, think of the relatives who are at the village that we have to support every day. Those people, if I wake up dead tomorrow, who is going to support them? We are fighting so that Zimbabweans can have the opportunity and capacity to look after their own families, regardless of their status in life or class in society. And this is what we should do. So I call upon our leaders, to be a bit courageous and reflect on all these things that have been happening and realize that as long as Mnangagwa and his regime uh, realize and understand that Zimbabweans are not going to do anything if I take people off the streets and put them in jail. Uh, and we quickly forget, I see people, they get excited about the idea of, let's say, someone like General Chiwenga, but they forget that these are the same people who sent soldiers onto the streets and killed people with live ammunition, people that were running away in such a cowardly act. But we quickly forget. We quickly forget that in 2019 in January, these are the same people again that killed people when they were protesting against the rise of fuel prices. So we need to understand that as long as the regime feels comfortable, there's nothing that they are going to do. They won't give in until we give them a reason to say we are not going to back down. We need this to be done. The same way that happened in 2007. All the changes that took place in Zimbabwe were driven by people going onto the streets. 19 in the 90s, the bread riots, they led to the formation of the MDC. 2007, when Morgan Tsvangirai was beaten up with other opposition leaders, it led to 2008, an overwhelming victory for the MDC. And that was the turning point. If you ask people that study politics, even those that were in ZANU-PF or in ZANU-PF like Professor Moyo, they will tell you that it was a mistake because people went onto the streets and they were beaten. And that's when Sadak said, no, you cannot do this. It was a turning point. If you look at the formation of the GNU, it gave us a new constitution, but people became relaxed. The leaders from the opposition started eating from the trough, so they were not robust as they used to be. If you look at 2017, Mugabe would not have gone without people on the streets. He wouldn't have gone. And that's why today the talk about change, the talk about stopping Mnangagwa, again is turning to the ordinary people and the opposition because they know that without people on the streets, nothing will happen. So that's why I say that perhaps we need to use that power to fight for our own rights to fight for our own demands instead of being rented by ZANU-PF factions to be used in their own fights and then discarded after that. It's important for leaders to be there. It's important for leaders to lead because people get the confidence that they are going to be led by somebody. People like myself, like yourself, Uncle Jed, and others are only there to communicate or to fundraise for people to get water and food if people are on the streets. Our struggle, as I keep saying, will never be resolved by elections. Elections are a waste of time. They're just a business for politicians. The only way this regime is going to buckle is if people stand up and say enough is enough. I'm not so sure, but essentially, they are charging him for what Blessed Geza said, because Blessed Mhlanga did not say anything.
Yes.
So it says transmission of data messaging inciting violence or damage to property. Any person who unlawfully by means of a computer information system makes available, transmits, broadcasts, or distributes a data message to any person, group of persons, or to the public with the intent to incite such persons to commit acts of violence against any person or persons or to cause damage to any property shall be guilty of an offense and liable to a fine not exceeding level 10 or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years or to both fine and imprisonment. So these laws are misused and they are meant to, as I said earlier, to instill fear. If you think about 5 years and you run a media house or you're a journalist, you then say, no, I'm not going to interview Gezi. We are not going to give him a platform. We will be arrested and we might go for 5 years and be charged a huge amount of money. But in real life, these are not crimes. We've seen so many times people from the other side, which is ZANU-PF and the regime, saying things that are terrible, like they want to kill Nelson Chamisa. They don't mince their words. If you remember, towards the election, Betwa actually wrote a letter to the police to say this person has said they want to kill this person, but you have not arrested them. Nothing ever happened. So it's selective application of the law is always by ZANU-PF, is always done by ZANU-PF. And of course, it plays into the paranoia that the other faction in ZANU-PF has over what this guy Geza has been saying. And if you look at it, if they wanted to arrest somebody, the person they should have arrested was management of this platform, and not Blessed. Blessed is a journalist. He works for the platform. Um, the person that transmits is not the journalist. It is the person. If I go and say something on the BBC tonight, and the BBC transmits it, it is the BBC that becomes liable. And myself, you and say we want to destroy ABCD, they will look for the person that has said that, and they will go after the platform. But it's clear, as daylight, that their assumption, their belief is that Blessed is the one who has a connection with his namesake, Blessed Gez platform. They would have called the CEO, and yet they only called the CEO on Friday to ask him where Blessed was. If it was about the platform that had transmitted that, they would have called him the CEO and detained him, or called Trevor New and detained him. But no, they didn't do that. So it's quite clear that it's a move that is meant to instill fear in journalists so that they don't engage, interview, or otherwise give interviews access to their platform to anyone who is perceived to be anti-Mnangagwa or anti-2030 or itself. As you know, I went to prison, not even for that. I exposed corruption, and they said I wanted to remove the government of the day illegally. How do I remove the government of the day illegally? By exposing corruption, which is stealing from the same government. And if you notice, some of the spaces that are being held today, they are attacking, those people were attacking Blessed over the weekend. It's like they knew something was going to happen. They were attacking him over the weekend. They were holding Twitter spaces attacking Blessed. And when I intervened to say to Blessed, some things you don't have to respond to them, they then came after me. So these are choreographed acts and side shows to try and distract people from focusing on the real issue. That's why I keep saying all the time, Zimbabweans should not be distracted by side shows. They should focus on the real issue. But these guys know that if they put up my Tite and Madam Boss to talk about other things, they know that a lot of our people will rush there. Right now on your Twitter space, we've got 1,027 people. But if the influencers like my Titi come online, there will be 20,000 people. So they know the mindset of the Zimbabweans. And as I said earlier when I was talking about this Twitter space, we've got 1,027 people, but only 129 people have retweeted it. That's the psyche of Zimbabweans. That's the psyche of not focusing on things that really matter. And the regime knows. And it knows that if they can't even retweet a Twitter space that is important um, to what's happening to them, giving them access to information. If we go and arrest someone, they won't even do anything about it. And that's the sad truth that nothing will happen. People will tweet and condemn from the comfort of their homes, and that will be the end of the story.